Hi, welcome back. I'm Donna with ABC Cake Decorating Supplies, and continuing on our cake journey, we are going to stop at a couple destinations, and they're going to be a destination of different flowers. Once you start learning how to make flowers, if you know nothing about flowers, you're going to know what a calyx is, you're going to know what a sepal is, you're going to learn a lot about flowers, more than you probably thought you ever would want to know. But now you're going to be able to make them. So instead of buying flowers, you can make flowers and present it as a nice bouquet. First flower we're going to learn to use is the Gerber Daisy, or some people just call it a daisy. We also have, this is a Calla Lily, that is so easy to make. All of these are really easy. And then there's your roses. So if you have someone special in your life, you can make them roses, and you can make them any color that you want. Then my favorite flower of all is the carnation. We are also going to go through how to paint and embellish on the flowers that we make to give them a more lifelike look. If you're not familiar with gum paste is basically like a fondant. However, it has more elasticity, therefore you're able to roll it out thinner and manipulate it and soften the edges to get more lifelike creations. Also, it dries harder than fondant, so you do need to be careful because some of your pieces can break. So if you're doing something and you need X amount of flowers, then you need to make sure you make extras for breakage. It's almost like fine china or porcelain. When they dry very, very hard, and they're so thin that they are very delicate. But they will last a long time. When I first started making flowers, I made a centerpiece for my mom. Other than now it's dusty, it's probably been 8 years, and it's still around. The only thing it doesn't like is humidity. So if they get wet, or if it's very humid, they might soften up because it is a food product and they're totally edible. Okay? So let's go ahead and start getting ready for our Gerber Daisy. First thing we're going to need to have is some type of mat to roll it out on. I prefer the silicone mats. They are pretty much smooth, non-stick, just like when we were rolling out the fondant in our cake videos. Also going to need, remember our dusting puff? It's 50% powdered sugar and 50% cornstarch. And then just put it in something that, any type of little bag that has lines or netting so that it'll come out. Our shortening is going to help, number one, it's going to help from your gum paste sticking to your surfaces. Also, sometimes gum paste can start drying out. So if you're underneath a vent or underneath a ceiling fan, you gotta make sure you keep it covered at all times. Put it in some type of a Ziploc baggie so that it doesn't dry out. If it starts to dry out, we just take a little bit of shortening, work it in there, and then we're good to go. If it gets a little goopy, we just take a little bit of powdered sugar and the cornstarch, pat it together, and then it'll stiffen it up. So as you see me do these things, I'll refer to it just so that you start understanding, well, how come it's drying out, or how come, what can I do? Once it's dried out completely, there's not a lot you can do. Just like on the fondant, once the fondant starts to get those little hard crusty things, you just need to pull them away because you're not going to be able to soften those back into it. Okay, let's go ahead and start getting our hands all dirty. What we need, first of all, is a rolling pin. Nice thing about our gum paste flowers is that you just need a little bit of work surface. You can sit in front of the TV, you can sit in front of the radio, and just start making flowers and just get in that flower mode, and you're gonna look like you're an assembly factory. Gonna take a little bit of shortening, and also here you get a free, you can rub it into your skin and your hands will stay nice and soft. You don't want a lot, just a nice little coating. What I have here is I have these ring guides, and this goes out to a 1/16 of an inch. Not very, very thick, but we're even gonna go thinner than this. But this is a good starting base, and then we're gonna take them off and roll a little thinner. This here is a lifesaver. You would want to have something like this because it's going to keep your fondant from drying out. If these here are called gum paste protectors. If you want, you can also use saran wrap. Saran wrap would be good. See how thin this is? One of the things about gum paste, I refer to as fondant a lot too, is that it is very resilient. So I've rolled it out to my pink. I'm going to take it off. And if you have something that has wording in it, you should be able to read the wording through your gum paste because you're going to be rolling it out so thin. One of the things though, as you roll it out, you don't want to keep picking it up because if you do, you're going to see it's going to start to stretch and then you could actually have it start tearing or have it too thin in certain areas or too thick in other areas. We'll roll this out. And if you want, you can take a little bit of your powder and just kind of spread it around here. Gerber Daisies. Let's show you this again. You can make many different sizes. This one here is a large one. Cutters come really large and then you can go down to small. You could even go to smaller than that. You can build on them as high as you want, or you can just do 2 rows of petals and call it done. I like to have, I liked the draping and the stacking effect. To me, I think that just doesn't make it look so cheesy. Okay, we have our gum paste. What I'm going to do, and these are cutters, basically just like cookie dough, I want to go ahead and dust my cutters because I don't want them to stick. The only thing I have issues with the Gerber Daisies is there's so many petals that sometimes they can start to break off. And so sometimes you have to redo it over and over. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut out 2 large petals. And you just want to make sure you get a nice clean cut. And then at the very end of our journey, when we start landing at our destination point, I'm going to show you how to go in and any type of imperfections your flower has, how you can go about correcting those. Whoop, that one didn't work out. So here. And if you need to, you can always just rub it back and forth this way. You do need a nice surface though. You don't want a table that's going to give, or when you roll out your flowers, they might not cut perfect. Then one of the things, gum paste tools, fondant gum paste tools is what they are, because a lot of these you can use on fondant also. So many different tools, oh my gosh. And as you do things, you'll find the ones that you like the most. Some of them are great for special applications, but most of them you're probably not really going to use. What I've got here now, you can see my flowers. Now, if you were to get called, like if the phone rang or if somebody's at the door, you can take these flowers, and this is what's so nice about this protector, is you can take it, and you'll find different tools do different things here. And you can come in here, and then if you have to go answer, you can just shut the little flap on here, and it'll keep them from drying out. So, because I want to show you something before we actually get into the process of letting these flowers dry. They're pretty resilient, but they are still very fragile. Oh, look at how pretty that one is. Sometimes you can just take those and put them on the cake if you want a bunch of different colors, like a groovy cake or something. Okay, and what's nice about this is it's actually got 2 layers. So if you put a bunch of flowers underneath here, you could put a bunch of flowers here and then cover it, and they won't dry out. First thing I want to do now, and one thing with gum paste that really makes it nice, is now we can go in and we can start tooling our flowers. We do need a thin piece of foam, and any type of thin piece of foam. These are made special for the gum paste flowers. So are these. Just something that's not as rigid as your tabletop because you don't want to start tearing up your flowers. We're going to take, and this is called a veining tool, and you're going to find you're going to use this one a lot. It's got a fat end and it's got a skinny end. We're going to take one of our flowers, put it on our little pad here, our veining tool, and then our shortening, our powder. I'm going to put a little bit right here. And the reason why I'm doing that is, and I'm going to use the thin pointed one, is so I can rub it through here so that when I go to start rubbing my flowers, I don't tear it and this will glide nice. All I'm going to do is start in the center and come up. And what this is doing, this is just adding a little bit of a personal touch to your flower. And just keep going around. Whoop, trying to hold it. Sometimes they want to run away from you. And then we're going to take our forming cup. Make sure that it's dusted. You want to make sure that your flower doesn't stick once it dries. And it's got a nice little hole in it. And it also has a little place for you to put it if you wanted to put it on a toothpick or something. But I'll show you that in a little bit on a different flower. We're going to take our gum paste. Now we've got our gum paste flower that has veins in it. It's rolled nice and thin. It's in its nice little cup. And we're just going to set it aside. And then we do it to all of these. And then after all of them are done and we have them in our cup, through the magic of, whew, here we are. They went from yellow to white. And you can see how by having them dry in the cup like this, and because I put my powder underneath, they just come right off, they dried with a curve. Next thing we want to do now is just put all these together. If you don't want to make your own gum glue, they already make it for you. This is a petal glue, which is basically nothing more than piping gel you can also use. So basically, anything pretty much will glue the flowers together. Even water will glue flowers together. The problem with water is you just want to make sure you don't use too much because you don't want to start softening these guys back up. So I'm going to take my petal glue and a paintbrush. We're going to take, and we're just going to go right in the center. Then we're going to stagger these two guys just like that. Okay? And then we're going to do the same with these. We're going to put a little bit of glue on here. And you don't need a lot. You just need a little bit, just enough to get these to stay. And then again, we're going to stagger it. And then there we are. We've got our daisy. The only thing we have to do now is just the middle of the daisy. So there's our brown gum paste now. A little bit more gum glue. See, this is like arts and crafts. This is so fun. You can just go crazy with this stuff. And you can make all these petals ahead of time. Just put them in like a shoebox or some type of plastic container. And when you're ready for them, if you already have them made, then you just can take them out. If you just have a bunch of petals, then you can just stack them in there. And then when you're ready to complete your flower, you can. Now here is where, again, you can start just getting real creative. Some people will take and they'll roll these into sugar, so it kind of looks like little pollen. Some people take and use cornmeal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is a 233 tip. It's a grass tip. If you remember way back, we used these for like grass on our cakes. I like it because it has all these little holes. And what I'm going to do is take it, and this is also going to help glue down the center of my flower too. I'm going to take it, move it up, and now I've got my own little pollen inside of my flower. Now I'm just going to set it aside and let it dry. I hope you enjoyed the very first segment of our gum paste flowers. The next segment we're going to do is we're going to go into the Calla Lily. It's one of the most expensive flowers to buy already made, but it's probably one of the most easiest flowers. So stay tuned and hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching.